Welcome adventurers to another build video. Going a little bit out of order. I guess if I was going in alphabetical order, I'd be doing cleric next, but I have ideas for a druid, so that's what I'm going to do. So we are going to jump in with a druid build. For my ancestry, I am going to go with lizard folk. They have a strength and wisdom as well as a free boost, and that is going to be very good for this tough strength and wisdom based druid. For the background, getting into some of the roleplay of this, some of the backstory, and some of the mechanical benefits, I am going to go with Junker. You live in the outskirts of civilization, combing through the detritus left behind. Mechanically, train in athletics, great. Gain the hefty hauler skill feat and a lore skill of the terrain in which you scavenge. Now, I imagine this character as living on the outskirts of a desert, mountainous, kind of a high plains desert town. So a druid in the sense that they live not in the city or the town, but they are dealing with these scraps of the town and sort of making a living that way. But it is a very kind of sparse stone and open skies kind of environment in which they live. And that is all going to come up in the mechanics and the roleplay of this character. With all that said, let's pick the class and subclass. And if you couldn't tell by that description, for the Druidic order, we are going to go with the Stone order. We are going to gain the Studying Stone Druid feat, trained in crafting, and my almost favorite Druidic spell, Crushing Ground order spell. It is a pretty fantastically brutal spell, and we are going to use quite a lot of it. All right. As far as our heritage, Cliffscale lizard folk. This is literally where this character lives, is sort of on the cliffs, mountaintop, next to a high plains sort of desert town. So that is what we are doing here. We're going to gain combat climber, which is pretty cool. Additionally, if you roll a success on athletics check to climb, you get a critical success instead. So good at climbing and good at athletics. And then ancestry feats. We're going to go with Consult the Stars. This character sits out and sees a lot of wide open night skies, consulting the stars. And what this allows us to do mechanically is once per day, you can spend 10 minutes to draw upon your readings of recent night sky to gain the train proficiency rank in one skill of your choice. So it's kind of like free but changing skill training every day. The chosen skill's key attribute must be charisma, intelligence, or wisdom. The proficiency lasts until the next daily preparation. Since this is temporary, you can't use it as a prerequisite for a skill increase or a permanent character option like a feat, but still pretty cool. Let's go ahead and round out our abilities. Well, we cannot boost strength twice. We are going to do our best to go in on strength and wisdom with this rather tough druid. Do want to offset that negative intelligence because of some of the crafting here. That's not really the most important part of the Junker background. It really is more about the hefty hauling and then just sort of the overall flavor. And then I think we can lean a little bit more into dexterity because that is going to help us max out our armor class. Skill training, highly recommend survival because it makes so much sense for this class or for this character, and then also mechanically you are a wisdom-based class, so you are going to be good in survival. And then medicine as well, because we are going to be the healer because, we're a druid, so of course. Okay, let's take a look at weapons, defense, and then spells for this druid now. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up a mace. It's simple. It's D6. It's bludgeoning. It is just a good, and it has shove, so it is a pretty decent weapon for this character. For the defenses, we are going to go with some hide armor. Now, druids used to, or I guess technically still are, limited to wearing natural armors only, and that I guess is changing as part of the remaster, so this isn't as important, but I think it still works mechanically and fits the flavor of this character, so that's what we're going to go with. That gets us our nice maxed out 18 HP. And then you could consider a shield with this too, because druids are somewhat tanky spellcasters, and they actually have access to shield block. So I'm going to go with just a buckler here, I think, because I kind of want that hand to be mostly free. As far as gear goes, we of course are going to pick up an adventures pack, but due to being a healer, we are going to pick up our healer's tools as well, and then we have some gold left over. Now let's take a look at the spells. I am going to pick up a new one called Rousing Splash. You cause a splash of cold water to descend on an ally's head, granting temporary vigor. The target gains 1d4 temporary hit points, which last for 1 minute. And then they are immune from this spell for another 10 minutes. So as the healer / kind of buffer, this is going to be very helpful. But you also are kind of a brutal combatant yourself, and you deal with rocks, so you're going to pick up Scatter Scree. This is a cool one because it does target 2 different cubes, and it can make them difficult terrain. So this is good if you have multiple enemies standing next to each other. Gouging Claw, I like. It's pretty powerful, and it makes sense for a lizard person. I like Sigil. It's a fun one, and I think as a sort of crafter on the outskirts of town, you would be leaving your little sigil on a lot of the things that you craft. And then this is another new one that I think is very cool. Tremor Signs. You send a series of tremors no longer than a short sentence of speech toward your target. You basically get to communicate with someone through tremors. So very cool for roleplay. Also makes a lot of sense for this character. Could help out in exploration. Now, as far as spells, as a druid, you get to pick from everything every day, which is great. But I want to focus on a couple here. Shockwave. Sending ripples through earth. Really cool for the background of this character, and is also a very powerful spell that can leave creatures flat-footed, prone, or even prone and taking damage. And then sort of the ultimate in spell casting stones is Pummeling Rubble. A spray of heavy rocks flies through the air in front of you. Rubble deals 2d4 bludgeoning damage to each creature. And Shockwave is a 15-foot cone, and Pummeling Rubble is also a 15-foot cone. This is going to be important as we level up. And then, as far as your focus spell, you have Crushing Ground. That is what is provided for you. You tear open the ground, then slam it shut. The target creature takes 2d6 bludgeoning damage with the reflex save. So you are dealing a lot of bludgeoning damage, and that might be a little bit of a problem if something is resistant to bludgeoning. But sometimes I think that going all in on the sort of role play and just sort of intention of the character is sort of worth maybe a little bit of a mechanical drawback. So we're going with it. Now let's take a look at what we can do with this character as we level up a bit, starting with our class feat. So remember, we picked up 2 spells that were both cones. That's why we're going to pick up Widen Spell. We are going to make extra big cones of extra damage now, and that is going to be so fun. And then this is sort of a no-brainer. If you're the team medic, you pick up battle medicine, right? You just sort of do. As we level up further, I think a very cool skill feat for this character is robust recovery. At least that's what I thought I was going to go with. Why am I not seeing it? Oh, I missed. Oh, yes, I need to increase my skill training first to be an expert in medicine, and then I can select robust recovery. That is my issue. Okay, so with robust recovery, when you treat a disease or poison, or someone else uses one of these actions on you, you increase the circumstance bonus granted on a success to +4. So this isn't always going to come up, but you know, people get poisoned quite a lot in Pathfinder. A lot of monsters have, you know, poison fangs or something like that. So you can use treat poison on them and give them a whopping bonus to their next roll to shake off that poison. And that is going to be very helpful for your team because poisons can be awful. I mean, just awful. All right, and just a few more things that I think are important as you level up, and then we will just kind of recap and get ready for the next one. Starting with level 4, I think Shelter and Cave is so fitting for this character. You spend 10 minutes communing with the spirits of earth and stone. Stone again, requesting shelter. At the end of this time, the earth rises and opens, forming a small cave or earthen mound 20 feet. So you get to make a little shelter for your team. And you do so with stone. So again, you're manipulating stone. You're using the natural granite or whatever it is around you to create some shelter for your squad. And I think this is just going to be a really, really cool thing to be able to do, especially if you're on a long campaign, you know, out in the open. And then for your Ancestry feat at level 5, I think it'll be very cool to again lean into the sort of consulting the stars and use Guided by the Stars. This is triggered when you're about to attempt a skill check or saving throw, only once per day, but the stars grant you insights that guide your actions. You roll twice and take the better result. So it is a good fortune effect that you can use once per day, and it really pairs well with that initial Ancestry feat that we took. Remember, level 1, that was consult the stars. So we're leaning into that stargazing sort of aspect of this character. And that's sort of all I want to go into in terms of future character builds with this, or levels. But just to sort of recap, you're a loner on the outskirts of a small, high desert, mountainous, rugged terrain sort of town. You scavenge. That's how you make your living. You leave little magical sigils on the things you do. You are one with earth and stone, and you are your team healer. You're granting people temporary hit points. You're using battle medicine. You have the, what was it called again? Robust recovery at level 3 to help out with treat poison and treat disease. But between your crushing ground focus spell, widened shockwave, widened pummeling rubble, scatter scree, which is really not bad, and then if you have a third action and you want to use a mace or raise your buckler, you've got great AC and you can be up front doing a ton of damage. That is important because with these area of effect cone spells, you typically need to be at least one square away from being able to really move into position and use it effectively, and then or one movement action. And then ideally, you're already in position. You can use the widen metamagic action and then just absolutely blast, hopefully just the bad guys in the battlefield. Though, let's be honest, you often get one of your allies too. And it's just sort of what happens. It's the barbarian's fault for standing there, right? Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed it. I think this would be a very fun character. It has a lot of built-in roleplay, very stoic, loner, very stern and sort of brutal if you're on his wrong side, but if you are an ally, is there to help, there to heal. All right, we'll probably do the cleric next, but I suppose we'll see. Hope you enjoyed it. These are easy and fun, so I'm having a good time. Talk to you next time, adventurers.